Listen, to my fellow white people, for as long as we have been a country, black people have begged us to listen, that they are treated a different way by the police. And for the better part of 400 years, or since black folks have pseudo had their freedom the last 160 years, for the better part of the last 150, we've ignored them because there wasn't proof, there wasn't evidence. And then every single American got one of these. And we saw not only were our black brothers and sisters not lying to us, they hadn't even expressed quite how bad it was. And shamefully and embarrassingly, in large part, our response, instead of apologizing, asking for forgiveness, and asking how we can be a better part of the solution, our response as the people in power, the majority as white people, was to move the goalposts or to muddy the waters. Well, what did you do? Why didn't you comply? Well, what was going on before the video started? And it is always the responsibility of those in power to affect change. If we want policing in this country to change, we as white people have to be at the forefront of this movement, because we know they can. Because we saw just a month ago when, in large part, white people in certain states were upset because damn tanning salons and barbershops weren't open, and when they stormed state capitals armed to the teeth, we saw the police in that instance show immense restraint, great restraint, and the restraint that every American deserves to be shown by the police under the protections of the Constitution. So we know it's possible, and we must demand the same for all Americans. And I beg of you, for all of us white people, to stop acting like there is a way for black people to demand their full rights as American citizens that will be accepted by the majority. Take a knee in silent protest, become one of the most hated men in America, and lose your career. Throw a fist up at the Olympics, become two of the most hated men in America, and lose your career. Be the greatest man America's ever produced, lead a nonviolent movement to change the world. Be killed on a balcony in Memphis before you hit age 40. And speaking of Martin Luther King, one other thing to my fellow white people. I understand for many of us, last thing we learned about MLK was in junior high school, Black History Month, and I Have a Dream speech. Please quit quoting the same 2 or 3 lines from that speech as if that is all that man was. If you would like a Martin Luther King quote, I've got one. It actually came while he was in jail for, oddly enough, peacefully protesting. The quote was about who the biggest stumbling block to black people's freedom and rights are in this country. And he said it was not the open racist, it was not the Ku Klux Klan. It was white people who are, quote, more devoted to order than to justice, who prefer a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action. That sound eerily familiar to anybody right now? So listen, folks, it's time we got to pick a side. And the side isn't black or white. The side is right or wrong. And if you want to be on the right side of not only this, but of history, if you are in a position of power or influence, or you are in the majority, then you must not do it simply through a few fist emojis and Instagram likes. You must put your money, your power, your influence, your platform where your mouth is. Or else, You can set your watch to it. We're going to be right back here sooner than we think, talking about the exact same issues that brought us to this precipice this weekend, Jenna.
6 a.m. and will be in